Hello, Line Cook Nation. This is Ray DeLucci with the Line Cook Thoughts podcast. Hope everyone is doing well and hope you all are staying safe. Before we get into the episode, just a reminder that I'm running 40 miles for the month of October with some people in the Line Cook Nation to raise funds and awareness for World Central Kitchen. The goal is to raise funds to honor the 40 million meals served in COVID-19 relief. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe. It helps out the channel. It's going to help me grow. And just excited to keep putting episodes out on this platform. My guest today is Natasha Powell. She's the operations manager for a Caribbean restaurant group called Jerk At Nite, located in Washington, D.C. And in the podcast, we talk about her brother, David Myrie, who started this business out of his dorm room in 2013. He started out by selling Jamaican jerk chicken in his dorm room, and since then has expanded into food trucks, brick and mortar locations in DC and Baltimore, and they have plans to expand even further. And they've done all this in a relatively short amount of time. In it, she shares about how they operate the business, how they transition from food truck to brick and mortar, the challenges they face, advice to new restaurant owners, and so much more. So just really, I think it's a great podcast for anyone looking to own a business in the restaurant industry, or just anyone to own a business in general. And I really am grateful that came on the show. So Natasha, thank you for coming on. Thank you all for listening, and here we go. First off, thank you for coming on the show. And if you just want to start out by introducing yourself, that'd be great.
So my name is Natasha Myrie Powell. I am the operations and catering manager for Jerk At Nite.
Awesome. Well, excited to talk to you. Definitely excited to hear more about the business. And just, obviously, like I live in the DMV area, but in the DC area, I think a lot of people know, what Jerk At Nite is. But could you just give like a brief introduction to what it is for maybe someone who hasn't heard of it yet?
So basically, Jerk At Nite is a fusion of different flavors that derive from the Caribbean.
Okay.
So my brother, who is the owner, Denville Myrie Jr., he decided that Howard University students deserved more than just the run-of-the-mill late night takeout, like
Okay.
Chinese, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, things of that nature. So he wanted to offer students a healthy alternative. And how we grew up and raised by two Jamaican parents and Jamaican grandparents on both sides. So we had 3 square meals a day. We always had a full breakfast, full lunch, full dinner, and we did not eat like fast food because our parents and grandparents just weren't used to that.
Yeah.
So um, when he decided to offer students a slice of our culture, he decided to do things like jerk chicken, rice and peas, cabbage, wholesome hearty foods. And the reason that he called it Jerk at Night was because after 10 p.m. on
Mm-hmm.
campus, the cafeteria closes and the only options are McDonald's and Chinese food.
Yep. The typical
So
college fare.
typical college fare, and it's not healthy. That's how you pack on that freshman 15, 20, and 25.
Oh
I
yeah.
can definitely attest to that.
Me too.
I think, yeah, I think mine was freshman 25. And he started cooking in his dorm room and having students and his colleagues come to his dorm room to purchase meals. And
Okay.
then it got a little too big, and the word got out, and people started raving about it, and it gained a certain pandemonium, if you will, and it just got to the point where he was like, okay, I have to get my own apartment on campus where I have a full kitchen, because he was like using hot plates and microwaves and stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was crazy. But when he got his apartment off campus and the full kitchen, he was able to have free range. He had his big pit drum in the backyard, and he was like smoking jerk chicken.
Wow.
And yeah, he would have his friends come to the house and take the food and deliver it to his friends and fellow students on campus.
Wow. Well, that's a cool origin story. You don't really hear that too often. um, that's awesome. So obviously, so he's on campus, needs to go to an apartment. Then it morphs into a food truck, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So how that went was started on campus in the dorms in Drew Hall, and then
Okay.
he moved off campus to an apartment. And after the apartment, I want to say 2017, he got his first, I'm sorry, 2015, he got his first food truck.
Yeah.
And then 2017 was the second food truck.
Okay.
And 2019 was the brick and mortar on 1100 8th Street.
Awesome.
2021, we acquired Queens Chapel Road in Northeast DC.
Okay.
And then also, we opened the Baltimore location, which is where I'm the manager at, 701 Poplar Grove Street in Baltimore City. That opened, soft opening was June 19th of 2021. And then we did our grand opening on July 3rd.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that. It's definitely exciting. You guys are definitely growing quickly. What was it like? I guess the first few, like, I guess in the beginning with just food trucks. What was it like to manage and work on that? Because I never actually worked on a food truck, but obviously being in the industry, um, and loving food trucks, like you're able to peer in and see, and it's like not a very large space. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot that's so involved with like organizing, planning to feed that many people through that small of a location. What was that like to be managing out of a food truck?
Basically, running a food truck, to be honest, I would prefer. I came from the industry. I started serving when I was 18 years old, and I did it for 16 years. So running a food truck was challenging because of the space that you
Hmm.
have, and I think that was the only challenge that I felt being on the food truck with
Okay.
him. That's the only. That's the only thing that Denver knows is food truck.
All right.
So he worked at a Ruby Tuesdays for like 3 months, and then he worked at a Gordon Biersch for like a month. But after that, he was like, "This is not for me. I want to be, my own businessman,
Hmm.
my own business." And he realized that the food truck industry was growing rapidly. Food trucks were becoming very, very popular,
Hmm.
during that, and they've grown even more now. So he wanted to capitalize on that industry, and he said, "You know what? I can definitely do that. I can definitely bring my, Jamaican food on wheels." And to be honest, a lot of food trucks that we saw around were your typical food trucks,
Hmm.
were halal, Mexican, El Salvadorian, Peruvian, and American with French fries, hot dogs, and hamburgers and stuff like that. You seldomly saw Caribbean food trucks. So he was like, "Let me tap into this untapped market and let me get a piece of this pie." And the first food truck was challenging because of all the licensing, the
Hmm.
certifications. It proved very, very challenging and very tedious. It was definitely a long road coming, and to finally legitimize the food truck, it was like 8 months. It was a lot of certifications and a lot of inspections that you had to go through, a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape, and we felt that it was also because of the lack of funding that we had.
Hmm.
There was really little funding. No one, and I mean no one, he went to, almost every bank in DC. No one would give him a startup money.
Wow. Okay.
No one would. So everything basically came from him cooking in his house and delivering to students on Howard University campus to get that startup money,
Okay.
all 25. So he had to work really hard to get over that hump. We finally found an investor within our family. It was a family friend, a good
Mm.
family friend, who saw the potential. We made the business plan and forwarded that to him, and he absolutely loved it. And he was like, I see the vision. I want to get on board with this. I see great things for Jerk at Night. And we were able to get the second truck. But cooking in a food truck and serving in a food truck, especially during the summertime, is challenging
Yeah.
due to the heat and the small space and the grill being extremely hot.
Yeah.
And with that chopping is going on, you're gonna get smacked on the arm with a couple pieces of hot chicken. So it's definitely not for the weak.
Yeah.
I had to get used to it myself, being in a cushy little restaurant, serving and everything, and having an open space kitchen. It was very, very different to a food truck. The
Yeah.
space is more confined. You're on top of each other, and in the summertime, it proves very, very hot. But during the wintertime, it's also very, very cold. But people are coming out. They're still supporting, So it just took some adjustment, pretty much.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And what was the moment then, because obviously you guys were able to expand. What was the moment where, like, was there a specific moment, I guess is what I'm asking, where it kind of like blew up, or you kind of were like, whoa, we need to, like, what made you get a second food truck and then go into a brick and mortar establishment?
So we've always had the vision, so to speak, to branch Jerk at Nite into a franchise. We have definitely discussed over the years. Have you heard of Golden Crust?
I have
Probably
not.
not. Okay, so in the Caribbean community, there is a restaurant, a franchise, should I say, called Golden Crust. The owner is Jamaican, excuse me, and he started one Golden Crust in New York City, and then for I think 2021. I'm not really sure exactly when he started, but now it has amassed to Golden Crust in Florida, in Philadelphia, right here in Maryland, and there's a few other branches in, say, North Carolina, South Carolina. So he definitely saw the vision that he wanted, and he said he wanted to franchise a Jamaican restaurant.
Okay.
And I said, it's been done. And I know if they did it, we can definitely do it. We wanted to turn Jerk at Nite into a household name. We
Okay.
wanted to be able to say we're the first Jamaican Caribbean restaurant, that there's one of us in all of the states. So we're definitely still on that train. We have our new location here in Maryland. We got a location in DC. We're working on Detroit right now, and also Virginia.
Wow.
So the food trucks, the second food truck came because the first food truck was just getting so much business. And between catering, when we branched out and did catering, that's when we realized we need a second truck. We
Yeah.
started doing events down at the passport office. We started doing Georgetown and GW and Howard, and going to, various federal offices and various schools within the DC metropolitan area. But when they started asking, oh, can you come to our event? Can you vend at our event? Or can you do a special birthday party or whatever? We realized that one truck wasn't going to cut it. So we had to get another truck to accommodate all of the requests and the support that we received from the community.
Okay.
And the food truck came in 2007, end of 2016, going into 2017. We were up and running with the second one.
Awesome.
And you also asked me about the brick and mortar.
Mm-hmm.
The brick and mortar was always on the table. It was just finding the right location.
Mm-hmm.
And we did our research for about a year,
Okay.
trying to find the right place to house our brick and mortar. And we looked at U Street, we looked at K Street, we looked at Adams Morgan, and we looked at H Street. And H Street was such a nice, bustling, up and coming community and neighborhood. We did a lot of research. All the businesses there did absolutely wonderful, great numbers, great revenue, great sales, and of course, foot traffic. Foot traffic is heavy on H Street.
Yeah.
So we definitely wanted to take want to get a part of that in regards to serving a new community, because we were used to going to U Street and serving the masses over there, but H Street had no idea who we were. So we looked at these other restaurants and we said, we don't see any other Caribbean restaurants around here within, a mile or two radius. So why not H Street? And it proved to be one of the best decisions that Jerk at Nite had made. And it was a very it was a very long road coming,
Mm-hmm.
because get over there was a phenomenal feat. We're still dealing with some issues over there at 8th Street. We were not welcomed at 8th Street as other businesses were.
Really?
Definitely not. If we're going to be transparent and candid, during this cast, I would have to say that that was one of our biggest hurdles, since Jerk At Nite has come to fruition was when we decided to open our first brick and mortar on 8th Street.
Really?
We were not welcomed at all. The neighbors did not like us. And we basically chalked it up to young Jamaican, Caribbean, as they call us, kids, because we were all under 30 at the time. And they were like, who are these kids, trying to come here with their dreadlocks, because my brother has dreadlocks, and loud Caribbean reggae music. And then the clientele is different. Our clientele is different. They come from all walks of life,
Yeah.
and they just used to it because the building that we took over, we renovated it and put about $180,000 in renovations to turn it from a dry cleaner to a restaurant.
Wow.
So they were used to a very, very different type of clientele. So
Yeah.
that's where the hurdles came from. We don't regret it though. We
When you
don't
say
regret it.
hurdles, was it like just the ability to go into that space? Could you explain some hurdles that you faced, like that impacted your business? Because I feel like that is a big deal that not a lot of restaurateurs might have to go through.
Oh, for sure. So one of the hurdles that I briefly touched on was the financial.
Hmm.
There were financial hurdles regarding getting the funding for licensing and certifications and things of that nature. And to really renovate that space and to completely gut it and turn it into a restaurant, we had to put in, certain drains and pipes, and we had to redo the plumbing. We had to do hood work, redo the gas lines and electricity, add, outlets and things of that nature. And that costs money.
Hmm.
And because of that, we were not taken seriously by a lot of people in the industry. No one was willing to loan Denville any money.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
a lot of it, um, like I said, we found an investor once we got the second truck, and he helped us with some capital. But I would say 75% of the total cost to renovate 1100 8th Street came from the supporters of the two food trucks.
Wow.
That's basically that's all we had. That
Yeah.
was renovating the building, that was getting the inventory, that was paying our workers. All of that came from our supporters, our fans, and our community that loved Jerk At Nite.
That's awesome.
And the second hurdle, I would say, came socially from a lot of the neighbors in
Mm.
8th Street. Like I said, they did not like us. They called the police on us routinely,
For
routinely
for
every
what?
day.
Like, what was the
Um, they would call the
noise?
police on us two ways. They would call the police on us because we had a drum, like a pit smoker that we were using outside and in front of the building, and they felt like it was not a good look, and they didn't like the smell that was coming from the smoker. They also
Okay.
said that the food truck was way too loud when we would start it up and we would shut down. They also stated that a lot of our customers would take their parking spots on the street. Because a lot of DC, and this is why I would never live in DC, but a lot of DC, they don't have garages, so they have to
Yeah.
park in front of the house. So during that time, we did not we had maybe about 3 spaces that were designated for our customers, and we had a lot more than 3 customers come through. So
Yeah.
it would be like dozens and dozens of customers lining along 8th Street, lining up 1100 Street, and they were just tired. They were like, "Oh, we would come home and there's people in front of my house," and it was just an ongoing process to try to get these neighbors to work with us,
Yeah.
so to actually give us a chance in the neighborhood, because we weren't there that long before all the complaints started coming in.
Yeah.
So
And I'm sure. Yeah.
the police, we were very good friends. The police knew us by names,
Hmm.
so they came frequently, supported us, bought food and everything. But we're actually in a legal battle right now. on 1100 Street with the landlord that is ongoing. So we're,
Oh
like I
wow.
said, we're going through a lot of hurdles right now, and that is one of them that we're continuing to go through at this present moment.
Well, wishing you the best of luck. And
Appreciate it.
everything. Yeah, I mean, just can imagine. I mean, like owning your own business, owning your own restaurant, then having the food trucks, and then on top of all that, to have to deal with people who are just maybe closed-minded or just not welcoming to someone not like them is pretty. It's a big task to
Yeah,
accomplish.
that's true. Closed minded. Yep, for sure.
So,
Definitely
well,
been some new exciting things.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you all are pushing through and are obviously obviously I'm sure there's hurdles and I'm sure it's not like perfect, but being able to open all these locations and like you said expanding even more, I think that's great. So it's
For sure.
it's good to see you all pushing through and just making it happen. I do have a question. So you mentioned earlier in the podcast that your brother wasn't a fan of restaurants. He was like the food truck's my thing. So what was it like for him to like? Was it his idea to open the restaurant? Because that seems counter to his feelings before before when you said when you were saying that.
So let me rephrase. When he said restaurants were his thing, he meant the chain
That's
restaurants,
fair.
like
Okay.
Ruby Tuesdays and the Gordon Biersch, like the American chains. He was just
Yeah.
like, they're the run of the mill, and they're very routine. They don't think outside the box. It's like you have to dress a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to convey yourself a certain way, and it didn't give him the freedom to be himself.
Yeah.
And Denville's a very eclectic and a very free spirited individual, and that's why I believe his food is so good, is because he allows his emotions and his feelings to pass through onto his food. He has a passion for cooking. And all of our customers, when they describe Jerk at Nite, they say, I feel the love in the food. And that is most important when you are cooking and when you have a passion for food. Your customers and the people who are consuming your food should feel your passion in every bite.
Yeah.
And that is what he always wanted for Jerk at Nite. He wanted Jerk at Nite to be on a different level than these other chain restaurants. He wanted to bring something different, fusion style cooking with a solid Caribbean base. And a lot of restaurants we saw, even Caribbean restaurants that claim to be Caribbean, they it's like they conformed to the modern ways,
Hmm.
or just the old traditional ways
Yeah.
of restaurant style cooking. Like restaurant Bibles, where you really don't have much creativity in the dishes that you create or that you replicate, should I say.
Yeah.
But with Denville, he allows his chefs to be creative and to put their own soul and passion into the dish that they create as well.
That's
Because
awesome.
he does it all the time. Like, I've always told him, no two dishes that I've had from him has always been the same, because
Okay.
he's always thinking of new, creative, and innovative ways to make the dish better
Yeah.
and to make it more robust. To make to and he uses an array of herbs and spices. He's always researching different herbs, different spices to use, and where to get them. He
Hmm.
frequents Jamaica a lot, and he brings back a lot of good stuff that he uses in the food.
That's awesome to hear. No, I think that's so cool. Um, just a few more questions. I know we're coming up on our time. Um, but what do people get wrong about Caribbean food?
People get the fact that just because it's Caribbean, that it's automatically spicy.
Okay.
That's the one thing that is so wrong, and that's a total myth. Caribbean food does not have to be spicy.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not going to say that Caribbean food doesn't tend to be spicy or have a little kick to it, but there's a difference between having that spice and that kick versus being drowned in Scotch bonnet pepper, which
Hmm.
is a spice that Caribbeans we use frequently in our food.
Yeah.
But the most important thing about Caribbean food is the flavor, is the spices, the array of herbs, the seasoning, not the spice.
Yeah.
That is not what makes our food Caribbean. What makes it Caribbean is the flavors that we use to bring the food to life.
Awesome. No, I mean, I think that's cool that I was explaining that because, yeah, I think that is a stereotype of like it being spicy, and
Yeah,
obviously, I think that that's for a good amount of cuisines too that maybe people aren't familiar with, where it's like, oh, it's gonna be spicy, and it's like, no, it's just like there's different dishes everywhere. Um, what are some, if you want to, could you share just some like menu items someone could expect if they were to come, eat at Jerk at Night?
absolutely. So I'm gonna give you a couple of our favorite menu items. Well, I'm gonna give you Denville's favorite. Denville's favorite menu item is the jerk box of mac. And the reason why that's the favorite is because he has created a way to fuse the traditional American, the baked American mac and cheese with
Mm-hmm.
Caribbean flair. And by Caribbean flair, he uses jerk seasoning and chives and pimento and total seasoning, badia, tropical. He blends all of those seasonings to make a mac seasoning that he uses with his mac roux.
Okay.
Now, have you ever heard? You know what roux is, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say he definitely knows roux. So he does a cheese roux, a cheese base, and then
Yeah.
he mixes it with his mac seasoning. That's only goes in the mac, and that is very. It's a very, very flavorful mac. It's it's almost indescribable because of the amount of seasonings that he uses and the herbs and spices, and it's so creamy. And people come from all over it. They will come just for a side of mac. They will order it on Uber Eats, on Grubhub, just that side of mac, or they'll order like two and three. It's one of our, it's one of Jerk and Knight's staple dishes, honestly.
Okay.
And the mac, it comes with mac and cheese, 3 pieces of smoked jerk chicken, smoked in the drum pit. Got to do that because that's authentic Jamaican chicken right there, and a very soft, buttery, flavorful rasta bread, as we like to call it.
Okay.
So that dish you will see at both menus. You'll see that on the food truck. You'll see that at Baltimore and DC. And of course, our staple menu item is the yardie. And the reason why we call it the yardie is because one of the this is one of the most cooked dishes, I would have to say, for Jamaica,
Okay.
because it involves the smoked jerk chicken, the rice and peas, and the seasoned cabbage. And those
Okay.
are all three of those are very common in Jamaica. Those, like, every Jamaican cooks that at least for lunch or dinner.
All right.
So that's like a national dish right there. So that's why we call that the yardie, because it comes from Yard, Jamaica. And another dish that our patrons have grown to love is the Rasta pasta.
Okay.
So the Rasta pasta that comes with penne noodles, jerk Alfredo. He also has a special seasoning sauce for the Alfredo, and it's also cheese based, Parmesan cheese based,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes with bell peppers, onions, and shaved Parmesan cheese on top, and your choice of protein, whether it be chicken or salmon, or you could
Okay.
do it vegetable style. You could do
Awesome.
that veg. And the last one is our jerk tacos. You can get our jerk tacos on with vegetables, with chopped white meat chicken, or with salmon. And it's two fluffy tortillas, 8 inches, grilled to perfection, has like a little crisp burrilla style to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes with rice and peas or cabbage or mac and cheese, whatever you decide. That
Awesome.
is one of the favorites. That's one of the favorites from our patrons is those jerk chicken tacos.
It all sounds amazing. When I was doing research for this, I kind of knew these dishes were very popular. So as you're naming them off, I was kind of expecting some of them, like the
Yeah.
pasta, the rasta pasta, and the mac and cheese. So
Yep.
yeah, no, it's good. I just moved down to the DMV a few months ago, so a goal of mine is to come try your food within like the next month or so. So
Please, please, please. We would welcome you with open arms. And you wouldn't just try one thing. We have to hook you up with a couple things. You gotta try the mac and cheese, you gotta try the pasta, the jerk tacos, because it's just that's just what we do as Caribbeans. We like to have family style.
all
You
right.
know, we we like to give our best to our new customers, and we want everybody to taste everything so they can get a broad range of what it is that we sell and what we're about. So
Yeah.
please let us know anytime you're ready to come over. We will welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, definitely. I have a couple friends in DC, and so we'll come by. I mean, I'll go by myself, but like you said, I want to try a lot of things, and so and I don't and I cannot eat it all on my own. So I will definitely
We
bring
just did
people.
that the other day. We had a Dominican soccer team come through, and it was about five of them. And they were like, "What do you recommend?" And I said, "Everything on the menu. Have a seat. We're gonna bring you a dish of each thing." And they enjoyed it. There was nothing was left. They
That
enjoyed
sounds
it.
right. I can eat a lot of food, but I feel like there's more food in this situation than I can handle, so it's good.
That's what people definitely say about Jerk At Nite. They said the food is on point, but it's also very it's very flavorful, and we also give a good portion where they have enough left over for a whole another meal.
That's awesome.
Yep,
Last
that's how food is.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm really excited to try it. Last question before we head out is, your business, your brand, your brother, everyone at Jerk and Night have really forged ahead and just created this business in a relatively short time. It's been, it's a long, I'm sure a long few years in terms of like the process, but it's happened over the course of like the last, like I think 5 or 6 years you were saying. So what
Yeah.
what advice would you give to someone kind of maybe in your like if you could go back and give yourself advice on day one or kind of just like, hey, you're gonna like just expect this or be ready for this because there's probably
Mhm.
someone out there trying to grind and make a business on their own as well. What advice would you give them?
What I would say is that I would say a couple things, honestly. A couple things learning from this business is that you have to have really thick skin because you will hear a lot of no's. You will hear a lot of, "Are you crazy? What were you thinking? What are you thinking?" Like, that's not going to work. You'll hear a lot of those things. And the second thing is to make sure that this is truly what you want to do because this is not a 9 to 5. It is a 24-hour business,
Mm,
24/7, 52, 365. Every day that we wake up, Jerk and Night is the first thing on our mind, honestly.
yeah,
Ways that we can evolve the business, ways that we can promote the business, ways that we can build our brand. It is a 24/7, around the clock job. It is a career. So you have to be sure that you are passionate, that you are strong willed, and that you're willing to sacrifice because you're not going to be able to make those social functions. You're going to
yeah,
miss out a lot of functions. You'll miss out on family members, events, birthdays, anniversaries, and things of that nature, friends, events, and things of that nature. I'm missing out on a friend's child's birthday party in 2 weeks because we have a huge event for Jerk and Night that's gonna be amazing.
yeah,
So you have to have that that gumption. You have to have that fire in your belly to say, I am willing to put everything aside and focus 100% on my craft, on my business for it to be successful. Because you cannot half step this. There is no half stepping in this business. You are going to get whatever it is that you put out. And if you are putting in 100%, it may not come right away, but it will come. You will get that 100% back. And
yeah,
that leads me to the third point is having patience. You must have patience because this industry, it changes. It goes up and down. It is a roller coaster. 1 minute you're in the game, the next minute you might be riding the bench. It
yeah,
happens. Things happen on a day-to-day basis. Events happen, things come up, and you just have to adjust. You have to be very fluid and you have to be willing to adjust and roll with the punches. So perseverance, like I said before, perseverance is the key. And this is not going to be all about self gratification. This is not going to be an overnight success. You are going to put in a lot of blood, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears. Your hair may fall out, but it'll grow. It'll grow back. And you might find yourself, getting a few gray hairs a little earlier than expected. But when you walk up to your food truck, so you walk up to your brick and mortar, you park your car in the front, and you see that name on that building lighting up, and you see people walking in and out buying your food, coming to patronize your business from near and far, it will all be worth it. All be worth it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. That was great. I think it's great advice, and it's a testament to what you've shared this entire episode. How all the challenges, starting in a dorm room to
Yes.
now this, it's quite the incredible story. So, thanks for sharing it all.
Very
Awesome.
positive.
Yeah, you guys should be proud. It's great. So, I end all my podcasts the same way. I call my listeners, the people listening to the show, the people who follow the Instagram, the Line Cook Nation. Really, it's a group of chefs, but we all start cooking in some way. But it's a group of chefs, people in front of house, back of house, people in the industry who just want to grow and connect with each other. So now that you've been on the show, what does it mean for you to talk to an audience like that?
It is very humbling to me. Very humbling. Because like I said, I have been in this industry for 16 years. It's been a long time coming. And Jerk At Nite has allowed me to be in that managerial capacity, full force, and be a partner in a business, something that I never saw for myself. So I really just want to express to everybody that's in the industry, front of house, back of house, whatever your craft is, whatever your skill is, definitely capitalize on it, make yourself more marketable. I encourage everybody to cross train, get familiar with front of house. If you are back of house, get familiar with front of house. If you are front of house, get familiar with back of house, because that's what I had to do. I was front of house. That was my bread and butter. But running this business, I had to run back of house and front of house. So I had to be ready to jump on the grill if I needed to, or get back in there and do kitchen production if I needed to.
Yeah.
So verse yourself, hone all of those skills, and make yourself more marketable in this business. And you can write your own ticket. I'm telling you.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much, Natasha, for sharing all that. And it was a pleasure to talk to you. So there you have it, the interview with Natasha Powell from Jerk At Nite. Thank you all so much for listening. Don't forget, if you want official Line Cook Nation merchandise, to check out linecookthoughts.com. Please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next podcast.